And you gonna murder this one and murder that one. Talking all that bullshit. I'm gonna put it to you like this, yo.
This is for the nerds, this is for the brainiacs, this what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back, you ain't gonna touch me, you not gonna do nothing, you are not above me, I bet you wish you was me, I know it, I know.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Only Friends podcast. We apologize for being late. We entrusted our technical ability in Conrad, and as you can see, it did not work.
There's no Conrad.
There's no Conrad. He's in day 2 of the Gladiator. We were hopeful that we were going to get a tableside report from things that are going on in the horseshoe, but here we are 25 minutes late with no on-site reporter because technology's hard.
It is.
Technology is very hard.
Technology hard, poker hard.
It's almost as if like we had 2 weeks to prepare for this.
To stress test it?
Yeah, I mean, maybe.
Well, that's if we would have started preparing 2 weeks ago.
I had the equipment. Been sitting at home.
That's not enough. That's definitely not enough.
All right. I actually have to go through the whole process.
Yeah.
It sounds like a you issue.
It sounds like a me thing. Google some stuff.
Yeah.
You know, how do I turn off my phone mic? Then I have to do it for, Lord knows what phone Conrad has at this point. I mean, he's gone through, we have literally 13 numbers for Conrad, and I'm not sure which one's current. Is he on the iPhone now?
I don't know. It switches.
Is he back to Droid? Where are we at?
I love the iPhone.
The Samsung? You would love the iPhone. Boomer.
Oh, boomer. What does that even mean?
That's like, but it actually is opposite.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Like
Androids
boomers
are for boomers.
Yeah.
No
exactly.
way.
Yeah, 100%.
No, Androids are for techies.
No.
Like you?
Oh, you think iPhones are for techies?
Neither are for techies. No one wants to be a techie.
It's not what people want. It's that people exist.
That's not what they want. It's who they are.
Yeah. Samsungs are for sure for techies, and iPhones are for
You know the
basic
specs of your
Karens.
phone?
Huh?
Like you know how strong your phone is?
I'm aware of its capabilities. Am I utilizing them? Maybe
What
one.
I mean is you're
1
probably
to
the only
3%.
person that knows what their phone can actually do.
No. That's not true. That's
Like
not true.
I don't know what the fuck this thing can do.
Why don't you
Just
Why
iPhone.
don't you just like
Just
why
iPhone.
don't you ship yourself to the moon with it?
Yeah. You're such a techie.
I'm sorry, what?
Why don't you put yourself on the moon with it?
The fuck are we talking about here?
I don't know.
We have a fun show
They say
for
the
you
phones
guys.
have enough like power and like they have more technology in them than what they
Doubling down
Grandpa,
to launch
shut the fuck.
people to the moon back in the 60s.
Yeah, that's what.
Okay, that
they
makes
say.
you boomer
Put
for
yourself
sure.
on the moon.
You've aged yourself. Now you
What
go
do
to
you
the
got going
moon.
on today, Berkey?
Now you go to
Anything?
the moon.
I tried. You interrupted me. You interrupted me for a moon story.
I wanted to
man.
interrupt you so then I could
don't
throw
know.
it back to you.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Just one step ahead.
We got a lot to talk about. A lot of people cooking.
I can throw it back to you.
But prior to all of that, let's talk about this Gladiator experience. Connor.
I think mics are here. We go. Now
Okay.
we're back.
Okay. We're
Technology.
being sabotaged. Now I'm convinced.
That's because he's running the whole thing with an Android.
All that
Quit
computing
running
power.
that from Berkey's phone, man. It doesn't have the capability.
Would be fine if we were using my phone instead of using this
Capabilities.
goddamn rig. Yeah, Conrad was the only one to bag, so shout out to him.
Yeah.
He got 15 big blinds on day 2. How many people made it to day 2?
5% of the field or something?
Probably less. Probably like
Yeah, but what does that
3%.
mean?
I would say there's, I don't know exactly. but-
Hundreds, thousands,
Oh,
tens of thousands?
hundreds.
I mean, like how many?
I would,
people
I
did
would guess there was
these
20-some thousand people that played and like 3%. So you're looking at like around 600 to 800 maybe?
Let me.
God, that's a full fucking event.
1,000 maybe?
I will
Max?
find it. 757.
Wow, did I
so
nail that?
many
Wow,
people.
you did nail
Fucking
it.
job,
nailed
Tortoise.
that.
Barry Greenstein's in the mix.
No way.
Yeah, he's the headline picture.
Bro is down bad.
He's
Crying at the gym.
I gotta tell you do not want for reference sake. Barry Greenstein once ran a website. I can't remember what it was called. It was pre-Poker Road, but I remember it was in my early days of like trying to learn poker and studying. Stumbled across Barry's website. He was so arrogant within his ability in the early 2000s that he ran a website actually rating every single professional with regard like a 1 to 10 scale.
He made a tier list
on their ability, like per discipline.
Legend.
So it'd be like Daniel Negreanu, stud 8 or better, 4. And then he'd give reasons why. And then it'd be like rating them as a no limit hold'em player, rating them as an MTT player.
He was the Muhaha before Muhaha.
Bro, imagine spending a period of your profession like being that certain of like where you're at.
Was he a 10 on everything?
I don't remember, but like you kind of have to be the one laying this judgment out. And now all of a sudden you find yourself on day 2 of the down bed 300 Gladiator, clinging to fucking life, praying that you can get yourself back in the mix.
You know, maybe people just want to be with the people. Maybe that's why we're out there playing.
Have you heard Barry Greenstein's name thrown around a lot lately?
No.
You've been playing high stakes. Nope. Been mixing it up in the 10K. Bro used to give away.
I was gonna say those charities are hurting.
He won so much money in cash that he would just play tournaments to give it away to charity.
That's amazing though. You gotta give him credit for that.
I feel like it was some sort of tax shelter.
He climbed it.
Yeah.
No, though.
Yeah.
Hey man, Dan Heimiller's chip leading.
Of course he is.
Let him go.
That's his fucking lane.
That's the ultimate gladiator.
Love it. Bro, he is absolutely
locked in.
What is it? Leonidas? Who's the guy in 300?
Leonidas.
Yeah.
He is Leonidas.
That is.
This is Sparta, and he just like Spartan kicks the guy into the well.
Maximus Aurelius.
That is Dan Heimiller to a fucking team.
We are entertained.
That is his lane.
So this Gladiator will be a 3-day tournament?
Yes.
So
sure. 30,000 down to 700 down to 1.
Well, like I guess the idea is they're gonna.
Well, no, that's exactly how the Colossus worked too.
I'm not judging. I'm just saying.
Listen, guys, you don't like it. It doesn't matter how many people are in it. It just matters how many levels you play. You're gonna get down. Like you could run a tournament with 1 million people in it, and if you have,
Here we go.
I'm just saying, if you
yes, you can online,
all over the world,
and then you could send them all to the moon.
All over the world, you can get that baby down to 1 person in 3 days. It's not hard.
I mean,
there's not many tables going. There's a lot of people bust.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's not hard, but it's hard. Like math is math. You still need to find a way to eliminate this many people.
Yeah. I mean, GG does pretty well with this.
You might have to add an extra day for the 1 million people. 4-day event, right? Because like you
or maybe cut a couple levels.
Well, you figure you get down to 3%, right? So 30,000 people make it through.
Right.
Then the next day
700.
right. And the next day 1. The next day 1.
And now 1.
That's what I'm saying. It's not that hard. They should. Wow, that would be amazing if they did that. If they ran a tournament, a live tournament that was all over the world. Like
imagine it gets 100x larger and they just add 1 more day.
That's all you need. It's called exponential, not growth. What's the opposite of growth?
Decay.
Decay. There you go.
It's half-lifing it.
That's how it works.
It's called it's called the Tortoise Half-Life Tournament.
You get 1 billion people, you add an extra day. You add 1 more day. Right? 1 million people, 4-day event. 1 billion people, 5-day event.
Okay, so they're running an event in India where every citizen gets a free entry.
Yeah, exactly.
By Friday, it'll be over.
Right. Yeah. Somebody has 18 quadrillion chips in front of them.
That's right.
What would the blinds be?
I mean, this works. It just works online, not live.
Yeah. It can work live.
Like when you're playing some of these ACR tournaments, like you get down to FT where there's like infinite runners and you just have 600 million chips in your stack, but you don't have to physically have them.
You just convert it to big blinds.
Exactly. I didn't know how many chips I had the entire time. I just clicked the button.
Yeah.
Why would you want to know that you have 400 million chips?
I'll go out on a limb and say that in my lifetime, I don't think we'll see a tournament with 1 million runners.
Damn.
I don't think it's
any lifetime.
Could happen in some
lifetime. You could make like a $1 tournament with like a 10 million guarantee.
You think there's a Zynga poker?
You know what? I think that's going to be my goal. My goal is going to be...
You're going to be the guy who gets a million
runs it.
runners.
Yes, I'm going to coordinate every single poker room in the entire world to run this one tournament. And then everybody makes it as
It'll
far as
be
they make it.
a year-long qualifying
right,
event.
Right, exactly. And then like the 30,000 or 50,000 people that make it through come to the World Series and they play basically a
And they play
gladiator
down
event.
to one in one day.
Genius.
Right, 3-day event.
I mean, honestly, genius. You just got 50,000 asses in chairs at the WSOP, so like, let's fucking go.
Let's do it.
So it'd be like 4 day twos.
Yeah.
Right? 4 day 2 flights. Can I buy directly into day 2?
No, you cannot. You have to.
No, this is a prestigious event.
Yeah.
Right.
This
You
is
have to come from the
This
start.
is a freeze
no
out where you
slate
can
reg.
only enter
Yeah.
before the tournament starts.
Yeah,
Correct.
everyone has to be there on time.
Yeah,
Right.
on time.
Oh,
A
yeah,
billion
for sure.
people.
14-hour days, no breaks.
Yeah.
No breaks.
Gladiator event.
No dinner.
No, there's breaks. there's breaks every.
They have
every
glizzy event. They have glizzy breaks.
half hour levels.
All right. All right.
Guapo quickly cut off of you.
Oh, now he cuts off.
Man, but chill.
He's like, whoa, we can't have that.
Yeah.
Lamana went on a glizzy break.
Yeah.
You went on a glizzy break.
Did I?
He doesn't know what words I'm saying.
I don't know. What
The
the fuck
hot
is a
dog
glizzy?
break.
The 8X hot dog.
Oh, the fucking hot
Glizzy is a
dogs.
hot
Yes,
dog.
I thought you. But Berkey said we can't talk about that. But I'm going to talk about it. What the hell is with the $10 hot dogs?
They
Apparently
run
they're
good
really
glizzy.
Why are
good.
you surprised by this?
Well, here's the thing, right? The market is what the market is.
Right,
And
yeah. You
I mean,
paid.
I did not pay. I would drive my ass to the fucking South Point and get my $1.50 hot dog and then drive back.
Well, you should go there, get like 50 hot dogs.
And bring them there and,
then
sell
them for like
$7.
$3 or $7. You
$9.50.
Well,
Why not?
I mean, that's cutting it a little close.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah,
He's gonna
Yeah.
have a sack full of
We're
more.
probably
yeah,
gonna be
yeah.
cold. And,
That's true. Yeah, maybe half. But like, what does it cost to produce one of these hot dogs? 10 cents.
That's not the point.
It's a 100x
I mean, they're
markup.
selling
just
like
gouging
PB&J
people.
for like $20. So
Yeah.
PB&J is a really sharp play to sell. I mean, like, this is low overhead. Everybody likes a PB&J.
yeah.
I don't know.
Oh my god! I saw an
As long as
image.
it's not that strawberry jelly
I
bullshit.
saw an image where somebody like mixed the peanut butter and jelly together before putting it on the
You mean
sandwich.
Smuckers?
Well, the thing, Burke, if you have the strawberry jelly,
They
then
need to
you're
go
just
to
cutting
prison.
into margins because it costs more.
Yeah, well, it doesn't actually cost more, but only bougie people eat it. That's
Right,
abundantly
yeah.
clear.
Yeah.
You don't get that government jelly.
I feel like this is something that Tammy would like to do. You know, set up a little shop.
Yeah.
I would do that with her.
I mean,
I was thinking,
to be
like,
fair, they're not exactly welcoming you guys in here to compete.
I know, but we just do it on the low.
Yeah.
Right out of a hotel room.
I'll bring like nicotine products and walk around and sell them at like 2x markup.
Smart.
Right,
That'd
because
be good.
they have
Candies, cigarettes.
Yeah,
they do have Zins there, but they're probably
They-
expensive.
they do.
At the
They have a Zin
series.
guy.
I don't think they have a specific Zin guy, but you could be one.
I could be the Zin guy.
Yo,
You
my
could be-
G, you got those Zins?
You trying to go to Zimbabwe?
Yeah.
Oh man, one person who had a wonderful time at the Gladiator is
Brian
a
Lamanna.
amateur named Deb Swift from Southern Arizona.
Love Deb.
She is she's out here for the first time.
Let's go.
Kind of gave an on-camera experience for the Gladiator. You got that clip?
Oh,
Hi,
shit.
I'm Deb Swift. I'm from Southern Arizona. This is my 8th time playing in the World Series of Poker. Last year I finally cashed. It was very exciting. This year I'm in event 20, Gladiators of Poker. So far this morning, in the first 2 hours, I managed to double up, and that was super exciting. People often ask me why I come to the World Series of Poker. The answer is, why not? This is, if you're a poker player, it's the dream come true to be able to come and play in this area with so many different poker players and just watching people realize just amazing dreams. It's just to wrap your head around that and realize that that could be you is a dream come true. Hi.
I mean,
Deb
see,
Swift. I'm from
I
Brooklyn.
wish I thought like that
I said
still.
Deb gets it. She does. Like that's what it's all about. Like
We
yeah,
saw that. You did
it's
tweet it, quote it with
300,
that.
right? It's $300. You come in, you get to play a World Series event, right? Yeah, sure, you got to play 10-handed, but you know what? It's gonna be $500,000 to first. A lot of people aren't gonna don't get this experience very often. So
This
it's
is
just
why they
like-
sell at the rate they do.
Right. It's why they sell at the rate they do, but who cares? They pay it because like it's not like you're playing this thing, a million times. You're coming for one day or 3 days of experience, hopefully, and it's fun.
3
I don't
days,
know.
hopefully. In Brian's tournament, it's 2 days.
I played 4 days. I was hoping to play 7, but we didn't get there.
The Brian Gladiator event.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the same kind of argument people make for selling main event action, right? It's like, oh, it's once a year, you
Kind of,
know?
yeah.
And it's like you got to do it for the experience, and like I only have such a limited amount.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that argument. I mean, I do agree that it's like a very unique product. My only pushback was that like as it becomes clear that there's more and more money flooding into the space, it's weird to me that the buy-in keeps lowering and lowering and lowering. Yeah. Right. Like I would be like, look, you could probably run $100 buy-in with 100,000 runners over 4 or 5 starting days, but at what point is
they'd
it?
rather people play more events.
Yeah.
I think you have to find the sweet spot of where it's almost affordable for everybody, right? $300 for anybody who plays any form of poker probably can come up with like the $300, right?
Yeah.
So like the $100, $300, it's I don't
comparable.
think I don't think if you make it $100 you're gonna see like a triple the
Right. But if you make it 500,
entries.
you're gonna see like 75% of the field disappear.
I think if you make it 500, you would start to see a decline. Yeah, I mean you probably will. You probably see like if you look at
Didn't we have the biggest Colossus ever?
If you look at the Colossus compared to the Gladiator always gets more than the Colossus.
But wasn't the first Colossus the largest event ever?
It might have been, and I think it's because they ran so many flights, and it was the first time they ever had a buy-in this small for a bracelet event. So like the demand was through the roof.
Yeah, I do think that this market's good to serve. Yeah, I mean, I guess like
I don't think they should have 10 $300 events.
That's
right?
kind of right, but like you say 300 and I just say sub 1,000.
Yeah,
which they do have.
They have
10,
a lot, right? They have a lot of 800s. They have some 600s.
Like
they have that one 500.
Yeah, like I don't mind them serving this space. My only pushback was that like I wouldn't create a full schedule for it because it does suck up a lot of resources. It sucks up a lot of space. Unfortunately, you guys get like the worst dealers as well.
You so consider 10 events like a full schedule, kind of?
Yeah,
because I mean, you can go.
There's like 10 there's like 10 high rollers, 10 of the lowest buy-in events.
I mean, I'm playing
a lot of the
my package. I'm playing 13 events, maybe 25 bullets or so, and I don't have anything over 1,500.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm just being too grinchy.
Yeah, I mean, I think the 800, those are good tours. They're like they're 1 day. Like 1 day ones, right?
1 day tournaments.
No, they're 2 day tournaments, but they're like they're like 1 day ones.
I know,
it's not multiple day ones.
I'm just
right?
like I was talking to Landon about this on the way over. I'm just like so much of a realist where it's like I feel like if we sat down and we modeled out like the average $800 field with the average $800 structure, you would probably find that edges are very minimal.
Right, like what's the highest win that you can have in a tournament like this?
And not because
this is the softest $800 tournament.
It's not about the softness. It's about the variance.
About the structure, right? Because at some point you're just gonna have 20
variance
bigs.
is variance, no matter what. Like
that's
when
not
the structure is
well,
low.
think about it like the main,
when you
right?
have short structures,
like the main event structure versus
right,
like
you can't
30-minute structure. You can't say variance.
The variance is the same in both. That's insane.
Okay, right.
You're just gonna have to be like flipping more.
It's
like shorter
overall. It's like
right.
GG
when the
online.
average if the average stack is this is really extreme, but say the average stack is 5 big blinds compared to a tournament where the average stack is 50 big blinds.
Yeah.
Obviously, the variance is much higher in the former.
Right.
I would be interested to see.
Well, I got the monster stack on the schedule.
Right, that's right.
Well,
those hour levels.
Well, that's the point, right?
Like that's actually a really good structure tournament.
I believe you. Don't give me that look like I'm the asshole. I
didn't. I was giving you that look. That's just how you perceived my look.
I mean, ROIs can't be that high in like an 800 with 30-minute levels, right?
It's tough. But like, look, I was talking about this in the group chat yesterday as I played my second online bracelet of the year. And
absolutely mauling in the chat, by the way.
And I just realized that like I realize now that like I don't want to play tournaments because the glass has been shattered. I'm like too aware of where win rate comes from. And before, ignorance was like such bliss, and like Landon and Hunt have just like taken that superpower away from me. Like when I was just ignorantly plotting through fields and like doing things that felt good, and then just winning, whether it was a byproduct of luck or skill.
Ha ha ha! I got the chip lead, and we're like, you should have folded pre like 20 times before this.
I'm gonna go back to that.
Limp these guys.
Go back to your roots.
Yeah, it's like, well, I can't now. There's no putting the genie back in the bottle.
Yeah.
Like I just know what's good and what's not, and like what I was doing before was not, but it worked. Or maybe it just felt like it was. Who
Maybe
cares?
you just had sick deck reads, though.
Mine of who knows. All I know is now I just like see the way it all plays out before it even happens.
Now
it's like,
he's scared and wants to go home.
no, now I know that
I
you
am.
spend most of the tournament with like 18 big blinds. I'm just like, okay, when am I going to get this flip in?
Yeah, that's how
jacks,
I feel.
finally, yes. Ace, queen, all right, fuck
Matt
off.
hates it that you lose so much with overpairs.
It's insane.
That's
It's
literally
insane.
how I lost every. I think I busted the gladiator like every time with like a
Of course,
pair like that.
of course it is. It's insane. It's just like
Ace queen to jacks and tens to ace king. To
I had a
tens
distribution in the online bracelet yesterday that would have made me like 500 big blinds in cash, and instead it cost me 6 bullets in the fucking bracelet event. It's like, here's kings, here's queens, here's ace queen suited, here's ace king, and guess what? You only have 15 big blinds every time you get it. Oh, you don't get to win any of these hands.
I did see
And,
him get
but
two
sometimes
out
you
of
do,
the
and then
games.
you just win the tournament.
No,
Well, that's the thing.
don't.
The thing is, you
just
don't
have
win the
30
tournament.
blinds.
Is because you have more chips, but then the level goes up, so then you have less blinds
Correct.
again, and there's
Yeah.
still more people
just
in the tournament
continuously
and you win
down
these
to
Fight
the
this.
during
wire.
registration, so it's not worth as much. And then even if you win them post reg, the stack goes down
It
and
makes-
down.
Then you just can't.
You have
can't
to
win.
You have
Right.
to
It keeps
martingale.
going
You
down.
have to martingale your way to a victory.
It truly feels like MTTs are just a structured version of martingaling.
But you chose
Yeah.
it.
I didn't choose anything.
You entered the tournament.
I've opted out.
You entered the tournament.
You peer pressured me into choosing it,
I did
but
not.
I've opted out.
I did not. You entered that
Okay.
on your own volition, sir.
What I said, and I actually might stick to this, I'm going to get really good at sub 20 big blind
No,
poker.
you won't. I know.
I will.
I know you.
He
I will.
calls.
I'm gonna
It's
study my
not.
dick off.
It's not just pre-flop though. That's the issue.
It doesn't matter. Oh, who cares? Sub 20 big blinds post flop. I know I can get good at that. That's not hard. It's
Brother.
just, bro. It's just SPR stuff. Like this isn't difficult. We
It
just start.
is difficult because it's different when you're playing like low jack button or like blind versus blind or button versus small blind.
Oh, just
It's
like in
hard.
cash where your SPR is really large. You think that button and big blind is the same as under the gun and
but
big
like
blind?
20 and 15 isn't the same as 20 and 10.
Yeah, I understand how fucking math works. I'm just
I
saying.
know you understand. I'm just saying it's harder than you make it seem.
You're just putting yourself on a pedestal.
You're saying he's not
There's no-
capable.
I'm not saying I know
I'm
this.
very
Are
competent.
you saying he's not capable, or he's not willing to do the work?
I'm saying he's too busy with other things in his life
Yeah,
going
yeah,
on to
yeah.
actually do what
Right.
he's saying he's
He
going to
could do it.
What you're saying is
The work
correct
it
about
takes, he
pre-flop.
won't.
Pre-flop gives me a sour taste in my mouth. It makes my stomach sick. Like I don't want to be scrutinizing 13% of this bottom of my range gets to do X or Y. Like I don't want to do all this stuff. But
Then
if I
that's
dedicate,
the point. You don't want
okay,
to.
well I didn't want to learn heads up either. And you know what? It took me 3 weeks. It's like not that
Yeah,
fucking
there was-
hard
there
to
was
just crash
3 weeks
course.
to beat airball, not fucking.
Okay, well,
easy tournaments.
I'm trying to fucking win the goddamn gladiator. What are we talking about here?
You're trying to win the gladiator?
Or an online 300, same
That was
thing.
pretty good
It's too
though.
much
Like
variance.
a $300 online event one day and $100K for first.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
the
Berkey's
one
prepping-
day thing is so jaded because it finishes at like 6 a.m.
That's why I maxed.
Yeah,
'Cause
Berkey's
I-
a sick
Right,
hourly.
you were napping probably.
Berkey's just gonna
I
prep
was
for the
laying down.
the million man tournament.
Sure.
I get what you're saying though. Like, okay, you want to go to 20 bigs and then max, and like you'll probably have a decent win rate. But at the same time, like learning 20 bigs for chips versus like final 2 tables, it's going to be different. Like, there's never like this place where you're like, I'm done learning the stack depth.
Nobody said that that's the case. I'm just saying that I don't know anything about it now, and I can get competent.
Yeah.
And what I realize is that everybody who's of the impression that like, oh, reg from the start because at depth you have all this edge and like you're winning X amount of big blinds per hour.
matter.
It's
There's
like,
a reason why the
yeah,
smart people max.
all that's
Yeah,
true,
it
but guess
doesn't matter.
what? It's fucking
Those chips mean
meaningless to
nothing
your bottom
by
line.
the time that you get into the money.
Of course. Of course. It's just like, what a scam to reg like the 25K from the start because you feel like you have some sort of edge over the field only to accumulate 1.25 starting stacks and then have 30 bigs going into day
Unless,
two.
right, unless there's like
25K
a
is
rake
deeper, though.
reduction or they do something that makes it worth it. You
Yeah,
know?
sure.
You know, like for poker
There's
go
like
stuff.
multiple people with 100 bigs going into day 2 of the 25K.
No, I'm sure that there are, but again, there's still
It's also just like a
quarter
nature
of the
of variance.
30% of the
That
field
is
left.
actually interesting if they like curved it like that, where like you had to pay more rake the later you entered.
That would be
and that would
interesting.
that would bring the EV back. To the
Somewhat.
Right, like a
little
max
bit.
would be
Yeah.
worth more money.
Right.
Yeah, because like, sure, there are a lot of people going with 100 big. What, Sam's chip leading, right?
Yeah.
How many bigs does he have?
Yeah.
150.
Yeah.
Okay, so he has 150 bigs. Max late reg is 25.
Ooh.
Max late reg is 25 bigs.
20, I think.
Max
Or
reg
sorry,
is 20, yeah.
You're right for max. If you reg start of day 2, 25.
You'd like
days.
play 2 levels before if you wanted to or whatever.
There's one level.
One
I think,
level.
One
yeah.
level, sorry. Because
Yeah.
like in the 5K, you played like 2 or something.
1.
Was it 1?
Yes.
Oh, okay, 1 level.
Yeah, so you play 1 level. So it's like, okay, so chip leader has 6x your stack. That's
Yeah.
that's not that hard to achieve.
It's
Should be like double twice.
150K starting, and he has 1.2.
Oh.
Oh.
Well, that's a lot. So then you get way fewer big blinds to start day 2.
Day 2 start.
You get like 15.
It's 100 big. Well, yeah. If you
Start with 150K, right?
apparently they say like the blinds now at like 1 p.m. are like 4K, 8K, and you get 150K in chips. So you have like
Less than 20.
18.8.
Sub 20.
But then if you wait
And
to
then you get
max, you get,
another
15
level.
bigs or whatever.
Okay, so that's less than the
That's a lot
5K.
different,
The
yeah.
5K would have been 2 levels back, I guess.
They also have that new thing going on.
Yeah,
Which we wanna talk
Which
about.
we can talk about that now. The
Good segue.
well, it was meant to be later in the show, but yeah, we'll get to it now.
We're here.
So Brewer tweeted something out last, I guess it was Friday because we didn't get a chance to talk about it. So he said, basically he was complaining that there's way too much leeway to the max late reg because there's, as you know, a ton of EV to coming in as late as possible. And the response was something to the effect that Jack said, tournament staff stationed at the registration desk will permit those in line prior to when registration closes, but will cut off when those aren't in line on time. The longtime WSOP exec also said he's open to suggestions for improving this registration process. Brewer then followed up and said this explanation just shows a misunderstanding of tournament poker. It's opposite. Oh, right. So this was all stated as to why he didn't want to pause the clock at max late reg. He said it's unfair to the players who are already in their seats.
Because there would be longer days because you're waiting for everyone to get seated.
Longer days, and then also he was basically of the impression that it's punishing the person coming in later because they're getting fewer blinds. And Brewer's point is well taken that that's the exact opposite of what's true.
You make more money.
It's right. They're fading all the variance of being in the event.
Right.
And it's actually punishing the people playing.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, like a lot of TDs need to better understand this. I know Savage has been talking a lot about the TDA Summit coming up and all of the things that could potentially be discussed there, one of which we'll revisit again today, which is the notion of using study tools at the table. But one big thing that's overlooked is late reg. And there seems to be a gross misunderstanding amongst TDs across the nation as to how late registration actually impacts events beyond bolstering prize pools. Way too many events, and specifically the bigger buy-in stuff at the World Series is most notable, and also online. WSOP online. These structures are built in such a way where max late regging is a cheat code.
For sure. And
You get in
much
with
of the
like
field is
20 to
gone.
25% of the field left and 15% cashes.
I mean, especially on the old WSOP software. I mean, we were talking about it,
Not
like
much has changed.
playing some of the stuff from the start, especially when you don't have the option to play one from the start and one max. It makes so much more sense to just play one max because of the amount of money you fade by not playing the tournament.
I still think that that's probably true. Yesterday's bracelet event, I was forced to max because I was in for 6.
Well, that's why maxing gets better, is because so many people will play and
Of course.
rebuy and rebuy, and then
course.
you're not adding new entries. It's
But
just
the bigger point is that max late reg, which was like 15 big blinds or 12 and a half blinds or whatever, was
11.
we were an hour out of the money,
yeah, it was close.
I think.
I mean, 420 paid, and there was like 800 people left, but then they fall off so fast.
Right.
Yeah.
So like 30% of the field, and that's a massive field bracelet event. The $100 100K, I also maxed because I didn't even want to play it. And I got in with 30 seconds left and we cashed within 3 levels. So, I played that event for a grand total of like 50 minutes and made the money.
Yeah, it's a format of poker where the less hands you find yourself playing, the more money you make.
Yeah.
Right. So the good news is,
Which is normally not the way it
WSOP
works.
came with a response. So first they said a change regarding late registration for 10Ks and above. Players must be registered and in line at the late registration table when reg closes, or your entry will be voided and refunded. I don't know how they're going to police this. Like, who's looking at the clock for when it strikes 2:01?
Right.
and cutting off anybody getting in line at that point. Secondarily, there are some technical problems that they're going to need to flesh out. So, for instance, for the 5K, I was there at 1:55, and the kiosk wouldn't print my ticket. So I then went to the registration desk, which means I would have been in line technically prior to 2, and I showed them my receipt, and I said, it won't print me a ticket. They then sent me to the cage, which took 30 minutes to get me a ticket. So now I get in halfway through the level, and it's like, I guess technically, according to these rules, I would be fine. But also technically, according to these rules, since it took me 30 minutes to get sat, maybe my registration should just be voided.
You weren't in the actual late registration line.
I was. That's who I talked to.
You need a ticket to be in the registration, in the late registration line, though. If you didn't have
Well,
a ticket,
the
you're
line
not
to get
technically
seated.
in the line.
Right.
It's weird, but it's like technical, but that's kind of.
I mean, I'm physically in the line with a receipt, but not one that will get me sat
Which is
in the tournament.
which is no
But
fault of your own.
But no, this is a good
Right.
point that you're making, because this situation could come up, and then how do they handle it?
Right, and it almost certainly will come up because I never got an explanation for why it wouldn't print the ticket.
Yeah.
I know you suggested it was out of paper. I went to like 4 kiosks. That wasn't the case. And then they told me that my credentials weren't in the computer system, but that can't be the case
So
either. I put
when you swiped your
60,000.
card, what happened?
I got a message that said no tournament receipt is able to be printed.
Yeah, like no,
Oh,
there's
that's
no
happened
receipt
to me
available.
before.
See, like, all I've ever seen was like the actual, like, before you even swipe your card, it says printer, like, or it says
Yeah, of course.
slips are low or whatever.
That's
like that. Yeah.
easy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, also that's not an easy fix either, because I know they say like give yourself time, but it's like, look, you know, we're all juggling a lot of things, and you're running around. Like, there are definitely times where like you think you're late regging in Horseshoe and then find out it's in Paris,
right? Yeah.
or vice versa. It's
Right.
like there's a lot of ways where like you can just kind of get horse fucked here. Now the good news is it's it's for 10Ks and above. It's for 10Ks and above, so I think that like these events are going to be easier to kind of navigate.
Yeah.
But it should cascade down. Like, this should definitely apply to 5Ks. I registered almost in the money in the 5K.
Yeah. But you
know?
could never do this in like the Gladiator.
Almost in the money because of ace.
There's no need to do it in the Gladiator.
You're right,
though,
you're right,
Right?
you're
Because
right,
like you're not that close to a bubble.
Yeah.
And also the registration line at that point is levels long. Like the max late reg, at least in years past.
I mean, you're about 2 hours away from. I guess that's. Yeah,
that's pretty significant though.
Yeah.
And
4 levels. You're 4 levels away.
Okay.
I think it was for the.
But
Gladiator.
sometimes like the late reg line, like the max late reg line, is an hour to get through.
Yeah.
Like 30
You know,
minutes. That's
30
what it was
minutes,
like
yeah.
for the
Yeah.
800 Deep Stack Championship. Like the line to get your seat took 30 minutes or more, and now you're just fading a level even though you're in the line.
So like
Right.
when you're in that long ass line and you're tilted because you can't get to your table with your chips, just know you're just making money the longer you're in that line.
Sort of.
I mean, it was kind of like a meme, but like a couple years ago, there's like people like circling behind each other in the back of
Right.
the line, trying to
Yeah.
be like the last late register, like
Right.
like the
Yeah.
last
Literally
airbender.
trying to game the system that way, which is like.
It's like just sit the fuck down, man.
Yeah, so the follow-up was Brewer said this is a good rule change. Only question is what happens when somebody busts near the end of level 9? Are they given leeway option to late reg in the horseshoe? So this is the other thing. Like, you can't just go to the horseshoe cage, or at least in the past, you couldn't just go to the cage and register.
Yeah.
They replied and said if the player can't get signed up and in line at reg table by the time the level switches, they will be voided and refunded. Players are more than welcome to set up a TBIC, which I think they think that's the fix. But it's really not.
The issue
It
is being
seems
in the
like
line.
There's
Correct.
an opportunity here for some tech company to come in and optimize things.
Oh, you mean like fast track kiosk?
No, better than that.
Sure. So I guess they did put a kiosk now in the horseshoe room, which one didn't exist before.
They've had
and
them there last year.
not in the actual horseshoe
Oh,
room.
in the room itself. They got you.
So
Like
Brewer
right
said,
outside.
okay, so if you bust in the final minute or two of the last level, just no rebuy. Sorry if this seems pedantic, but this is likely going to be an issue, and it does affect strategy. I just want to clarify what the ruling is, to which I don't know if you got a response directly or not.
He did not.
I don't
He
see
didn't.
anything
So
here.
no response to that.
WSOP faded this one.
they've gone dark. This is the easiest fix in the world,
I'm
by
gonna
the
see
way.
myself out.
This is the easiest fix in the world. It's simple. Have a break. Close reg on a break.
Right.
Close it after level 8 instead of after level 9.
Right.
It's that fucking easy.
Yeah. Or just have a break after level 9.
But like,
Yeah.
we don't need that extra level.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like 20 blinds, 18 blinds, 15 blinds. What the fuck is the difference?
The difference is people will wait for the 18,
Right.
for the 18 blinds to make more money.
The notion that like keeping it open for an extra level increases the prize pool in any capacity is false. It just changes when people will max late reg.
It changes how much money they make.
Right. For 10Ks and above, people are going to fire X bullets regardless. And usually X is 2 or fewer.
Well, they're only allowed to spend 2.
All the people that bust that
even-
level, that extra level, may now late reg where
Like
they wouldn't.
all
have.
the WSOP
Because
events are only.
Some will, sure, but like what's the bust rate in level 9 compared to 8? Is
same.
it that much greater?
No, but it is greater.
Sure.
It's the same, you know, like someone has 20 bigs versus 18, kind of the same idea. And all these WSOP events are 1 re-entry only. So
Right,
everyone's
right,
going to play
because-
1 start, 1 max.
Exactly, because the strategy now for level 8 will alter to what your strategy was in level 9 because this is your last chance to re-enter.
Yeah.
Right?
Chips
So-
are going to be worth a little bit more.
It's a marginal difference in what the average big blind stack will be in level 8 versus level 9. It's a marginal difference between what a late reg stack will be in level 8 versus level 9. It's like very, very simple. Just cut off registration at that break. Now you have 15 minutes for everybody who busted at the end of that level to re-enter the event, do whatever it is they have to do. You have a calmness in when the cutoff at the line is and everything else. People will all be sat by the start of level 9, almost certainly.
For the higher stakes tournaments too, like they're kind of shorter day ones, right? They're like,
Yep.
like sandbagged
Yeah.
pretty
I
early.
think like 10 p.m.
Yeah. So it's like, why not just
8-hour days, I think, on day 1.
Right.
No
so-
dinner breaks. They just
no
end at
dinner
9
break.
p.m.
They take that out. You have 8 hours, and then just have the break for that night, right? And then day 2 restarts.
Yeah, you can do it that way
So
too.
you just have the entire like 8 hours, whatever the hell it is, to re-enter the
oh,
tournament.
that's what I'm saying.
Right. So don't
level-
have the
level-
15-minute break. Have the
Right.
8-hour
Yeah,
break.
You're right. My bad.
Yeah.
My apologies. I forgot that it was a break between days.
Yeah.
I was thinking it was like they played 10 levels.
Just be like,
So
okay,
just end the day at level 8 instead of 9.
They do.
they do end, but then they play an extra level for.
Oh,
They play 1 level on day 2 and
Where you
then
can-
close late
then
reg.
close, yeah,
and that's so unnecessary.
Right.
Right?
It doesn't change anything, and all the maxers can just register at the end of the night and then go to bed and then come back in time
Yeah.
for the tournament.
All it changes is it gives people like a buffer to get there on day 2. Like, oh, I didn't know what time it started. Like, it's so nominal.
If
right?
if you want to play the event, figure out what time it starts.
Right, right, and now you have all morning to get registered.
right.
So yeah, like what I'm saying now even amplifies. Every single late registrant will be sat by the start of the day.
Right.
Period. So
Yeah.
this is just like a way cleaner solution. And I think that it should trickle down to like the 5Ks. Basically, any event with like fewer than 2,000 runners.
Yeah.
I think that this should be just
Where they
uniform.
can manage it.
Yeah, because like I saw that Rabinowitz basically said, "Why don't you just make good policies for all events?" It's like, well, you can't do this at the extremes.
Right.
There's no reason to do it for a 300
in the $1 million tournament.
yeah,
Million Man tournament?
The Million Man tournament. This isn't gonna fly. You know, you
That no, you have to be on time for that.
Right.
Remember?
Yeah,
It's
there's
a
no
freeze out
late
from
There's
the
no late
start.
reg. There's no late reg.
right. It's
It's a once in a lifetime thing. Get there on time.
Yeah.
It's a once in a
You can get
lifetime
there on
event.
time.
the least you can
You
do.
get a golden tortoise for winning the event
That would be the trophy.
with
this
rhinestones and
this
diamonds.
giant golden tortoise.
Wow, that'd be sick.
It's just unbelievable.
I think I'm in.
Of course.
I come in riding on it. Like,
Okay, well, I'm getting a little.
All right,
You're like the
ambassador.
emperor
yeah, he's got a wand. He's got a scepter and shit.
Oh man. All right. Let's get to a quick who's cooking.
Who is cooking?
I didn't know we had that today.
Well, you know, there's like 8 bracelet winners we have.
yeah,
All right,
some people
let's
were
pretend we
cooking.
saw the graphic. Who we going with?
Oh, we don't even have it?
Oh,
No, we
man.
have it. I just
Oh.
didn't have it lined up.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right. There are
Imagine a graphic going on right now about somebody cooking.
Right.
There's a chef, I promise.
There are a lot of chefs
It
in the
should-
kitchen this
Yeah.
week. What were you gonna say?
we should have ended it with like the guy making the hot dogs. Definitely cooking the
Glizzy
$10
overdrive.
collecting the $10 bills.
he can't handle this hot dog
It's just
situation.
it's really ridiculous.
Turtle versus hot dog.
All right. First and foremost, we have the winner of the $800 No Limit Hold'em Deep Stack. Tortoise was in this event. He contributed to the prize pool.
I
So
did.
did I.
Gave him $800.
Big shout out to TJ Murphy. He dominates the final table to win his first bracelet. It looks as though first place was $369,000.
Nice.
Not too shabby for an $800 event.
No.
Yeah, Harry got 9.
Love to see it.
Shout out to Harry.
Shout out to Harry. Our second chef in the kitchen is Event 22 winner.
Second chef in the kitchen.
This is the Deuce to 7 lowball triple draw 6-handed. Can't believe Conrad wasn't out there. We all know what an expert he is. Really missed out.
He said
on
everyone should play it. It's so
everybody.
easy.
It's easiest event on the schedule. It's not even
You
close.
just ask them how to play. It's so easy.
Isn't
Right.
he 1-for-1 in final tables in this thing?
I'm gonna go ahead and say he probably played it at least the second time.
All right.
And probably did not final table it.
50%
Because it's so easy.
Right, very easy. So this is a 6 max event. It looks as though AJ Cummings wins his first bracelet in this one. Good for $146,516.
Yay.
I have to tell you, like, I know this sounds very assholey, but I even felt this way when I was poor. I just would be so upset if my first bracelet was only worth like $100K. Like, you just feel like you do the impossible, right? And it's like you
finally
want
win a
something the
bracelet.
equivalent of a Venetian deep stack.
Well, like the mixed games, I guess, are a little different.
Of course, they're small fields, and like, you know, it's only 1,500, 575 entries.
It feels like those mixed games it really is about the bracelet and not the
100%,
money. You
for
know? sure.
Especially when you see some of the names out there winning them.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, Jay Merce wins a $1,500 PLO 8 or better for $77,000.
Right.
It's like, who am I to start saying we shouldn't have $300 events when this motherfucker's out here winning an 81-person $1,500
Also,
buy?
where was he when you drafted him? He's showing up all over the place this year.
Is he actually?
Well, he was in
He played
the
25K.
Okay.
He's in there.
See, we need to stop looking at the beginning of the tournament and what it costs. We need to look at the end and what you get for winning it.
Right.
Right. These fucking Gladiator, you're going to get $500,000.
That's a lot of money.
The Turtle's good at selling the dream.
He is.
A lot of shields and shields and
WSOP
swords.
should hire him. He's a good shield.
Shields and swords.
South Point should hire him.
South Point should definitely hire
I
him.
don't know how they don't. They
Stories
like all of
$10
my...
hot dogs. They have them for $1.50 at the
time,
Jewel.
every time they like my stories
I'm sure
every
they
time I
did.
tag it.
Of course.
I can see the bio now on Twitter. South Point Pro.
They've given me enough. It's okay.
Right.
They treat you well over there. They give you the free
You've given
glizzy.
them enough.
The 10K pot limit Omaha high-low 8 or better championship. Sean Trofa, he completes the hat trick after winning the 10K PLO 8 or better.
Call him Sean Trophy.
So he's won 3 WSOP bracelets over time, but he won them in consecutive years. So it looks as though this is his 3rd year in a row
With a
winning
bracelet.
a bracelet.
Wow,
Congratulations.
That's so hard to do.
$536,000 for
nice.
first place in this one. It's so crazy. I read
What was
these.
the buy-in? Sorry.
10K.
10K. It was a
10K,
championship.
yeah, okay.
I read these final tables and it's like I recognize so few people. Yao Sameo got 3rd. I recognize him. Yuri got 4th. I recognize him. That's kind of it. I just don't know mixed game players.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're not
That's
in the
very
mixed
clear.
game world.
Not in the mixed game. Well, kind of am, but
I mean-
usually it's just them shouting really loudly in the table behind us in Bobby's room. And it's always just crazy Mike and whoever the fuck is
Mixed games seem
with him.
fun. People have a good time.
It's
There's something.
it's questionable if they're having a good time or if
They're having a time.
Yeah, they're having a time for sure. It's probably like about as much fun, I assume, as insane people in an asylum, just like
Seems fun.
yelling at one another.
Yeah.
Like from the outside looking in, it looks like a blast.
Yeah.
But when you're in it, you know, maybe not the best time in the world.
When you're in it, you want out.
That's right. Dylan Weissman wins his 2nd WSOP bracelet. 1,469 runners in event 18, $1,500 PLO.
Wow.
Was he spurned by Deeb?
I think maybe he had a little fire lit under him.
He did say that he was complaining to everyone on purpose, and then he won
He did
the
wind it
tournament.
in. I will say that he winded in. $295K to first in this one.
A good picture.
I would love to know what this Tim Duckworth thing is. Like, I don't know if it's just like gentle ribbing or if they actually have beef between him and Sean. But it's very clear that Tim has chosen Dylan Weissman
Team
as
D Weiss.
Yeah, that's his pick to click.
Yeah.
He's on D Weiss. And the best part is, I don't have the tweet, but Deeb just dunked on himself, where he like quote tweeted this picture of Dylan pointing to Sean, and he said, "Oh, that's cute. In like 25 PLO events, I have more than 3.5 million in earnings, which is like roughly what Dylan's won this year.
Yeah.
And then if you look at the list, so Deeb in like all PLO events is like 6th all time in winnings. And then if you just look up 3 above him, there's Dylan, number 3. And then he just replied, he goes, if I had seen that, I obviously would not have.
At least he didn't delete it.
Yeah.
Respect to the memes.
Sometimes you give yourself an L.
Here it is. Wow, 3.2 million this year. I've won more than that in 25 or so lifetime PLO events. And if you just scroll down ever so slightly, you'll see that number 3 all time, Dylan Weissman. Sean Deeb, 7th all time, about a 300K difference. Ironically, exactly what first place was in this event.
Right.
Amazing.
The funny part is Sean was probably just above Dylan in that list prior to this final table.
Yeah. He could have had a stance if this event didn't exist.
Right.
He might overtake him by the end of the series.
Well, that's Deeb's nature.
Nothing like spite motivators.
That's true. Hopefully you get a little spite motivated.
Yeah, man.
I'd love to see it. I know J-Bex he's on, we're still in the midst of who's cooking, but he
was cooking and then he wasn't.
He's not. I heard he stormed out of the win the other day, just like can't fucking breathe.
Stormed out in a fit of rage. Bullet, who knows how many. He's learning the other side. He's learning what I learned a long fucking time ago about MTTs. They're not kind. It's a very cruel world. Yeah, you lose a lot, you know?
So we're cooking. We're up 10K, barely profiting for the year.
Yeah.
But hey,
I mean, he's only down 8,400. That doesn't seem like that.
It is not that much.
It's
nothing.
but it's mentally.
Yeah.
Ooh, it weighs on you, my man. How many times can you lose kings to aces in a big fucking spot?
Right.
You know?
Biggest spot of his life.
How many times can you go set over set? How many? Oh, fuck, set over set. Don't get me fucking started.
You started yourself.
This last week.
Dylan got you started.
Oh my God, like a lawnmower. Set over set in the biggest fucking spots. I haven't gone set over set in like a year, and I just get 3 in a row.
Well, yeah, that's how it works.
I don't want it to work that way.
That's what happens when you open.
Well, that
Space
means
them out so I can tolerate it a little.
That's what
bit.
happens when you open
you've
fours.
gotten them out of the way.
Okay. I did boat over boat somebody yesterday during stand-up, which is the best time to boat over boat somebody.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when it's Ralph. He's tough to get a fucking penny out of. John Racner, he comes back and wins his second bracelet of the summer. Takes down the 10K Limit Hold'em Championship. Shout out to Ronnie Barta. He was there once again. Cuz just hugging on the rail. Look at him in that winner's photo, man. Let's get Cuz a fucking bracelet.
Please.
Yeah.
We need that motherfucker. I'll never forgive him for fucking jamming that King Jack on me. The 1500 6 max final table.
He knew you had nothing.
He just knew, man. Like, I'm out there with the 8-4 suited. Like, fuck this guy. He's going to raise fold way too much. You know what? He was supposed to raise fold too much, Landon.
He didn't.
He was supposed to.
He said, fuck your face.
He said, fuck your face. 28 blinds right in my face. King Jack offsuit. King Jack fucking off.
Yep.
Cuz, you ain't got nothing, cuz.
Sometimes
didn't
that
have
face
anything.
equity comes back to bite you.
I didn't have nothing.
Well, he knew that.
He was right.
Yeah.
He did know it.
Can't blame him.
Before we get to the winner of the 25K 6 max, I have to play this interview. It's just a fucking masterpiece. Big shout out to Michael Rocco, my spirit animal. Nobody has said it better than him. Nope.
Yep.
Nope.
Sorry, I'm finding it.
I said it.
Michael, I kind of saw you shaking your head out there just a little bit ago. Overall, how would you sum up how you think you played throughout today's final table?
Bad.
Making a run like this, though, finishing in third, does it help the confidence level overall, despite the way you think you might have played at this final table?
No, not really. Because I always don't close big spots, so that's just what I do. I just get in huge spot after huge spot with chip lead and never fucking win, so it doesn't really help the confidence at all. I know I can just get there all the time, but I never win, so I just have to work on myself and just try to get better. But yeah.
Is that something that's weighing on your mind when you go into a final table?
No. Like, I always feel like I'm gonna win, but I always manage to not somehow, so yeah. I don't, not sure, but I'll figure it out at some point.
I appreciate the honesty and you opening up. Thanks, Michael.
Jeff looks so sad for him.
I mean, this is just good content. This is what you want when you do an interview.
Right.
Like, you don't want the same old dog and pony show bullshit.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm just happy to be here. You know,
he was not
the
happy to be there.
cliches.
Yeah.
Not
Just like-
happy.
It's when you see the real raw emotion. How you like?
Realness.
Tell us how you really feel. He told us how he really felt. Beautiful.
This might be the bat signal beacon for Elliott Rowe to just like kind of slide in those DMs,
Swoop
be
right
like,
in.
"Hey, mate, I've noticed a bit of the self-sabotage. Well, maybe
I can fix you.
Maybe we should have a chat."
We could send him the book.
I'm sure he'll
He needs more
appreciate
than the
that.
book, buddy.
A signed copy from the tortoise to keep him going.
He's gonna need a lot of one-on-one time.
Slow and steady wins the race. Signed by Brian Lamanna.
Honestly, I feel for him. Like I've been in that spot a lot where you just feel like you can't help yourself. You find ways to torture. He played a big hand where I think it was a 3-bet pot, 4 left, 5 left maybe, where he had ace king, came queen jack X, check check, turn ace. He either bet and got raised, or he checked and faced a big bet, and he just ends up finding a fold, which is, obviously ludicrous. Like you're playing with fire there, where you need to be right so often. Like you need to be so confident in your read to fold a hand that high up in range that this is something that I think people struggle with. Is it's worth busting with hands that have that high of equity over making the error of like folding too conservatively.
Right.
Like whatever Helmuthian white magic thing you think you're on, that you're trying to dodge bullets in these spots, you're just much better served busting in these spots if that's what the deck has lined for you. And he was up against pocket tens, which he's doing pretty well against. You got to just pay. Got to just pay in those spots. The eventual winner, Breck Shutton, he pulls off the 25K high roller win for $1.4 million. This was his second high roller final table in as many years. You might remember him finishing heads up in the 50K high roller. I believe it was last year. Nope, sorry, it was it last year or 2021? Either way,
I don't know. His first win was at WPT
21.
in Florida.
Yeah.
And then that's when he started playing more.
Right. All of this was in
I think
2021.
he's an ICU nurse.
Yeah.
Actually?
Yeah. Legit.
Shout out to my man.
Yeah, he's nursing
out
and
on the
cooking.
front lines,
He's
just
nursing.
shipping 7-figure scores. You can do it too, team. Like, this is the real dream, not the fucking Gladiator.
Should we get Michelle out there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Get her in there.
Get her in there.
Get him in.
TVK coming in fourth in this one.
Shout out to TVK.
Tyler Stallman finishing heads up. Not sure of Tyler Stallman's story, but I know he was being talked about a lot on the way down. He only had 200,000 in live earnings prior to this, so I don't know if he YOLO'd this or if maybe he sold some action or whatever. But pretty big fucking score to only have 200K in lifetime earnings and then just rip off 938 in one fell swoop against one of the toughest fields that you're going to face in the WSOP. So big shout out to him. He's also cooking in the kitchen. And then finally, friend of the show, the homie, Daniel Sepiol ships the shootout yesterday. I turned it off. I gave up on the kid. I'm not gonna lie.
No.
Apparently it was like 35 million to 1.
36 million to 2.4 is when I turned it off. Bro just comes back.
Yeah.
Wow.
He just did the impossible.
Can't keep a good man down.
And this hand is fucking absurd.
This is unreal.
This is a single raise pot where they're like
No, it's limp check.
Oh, that's even crazier.
It's limp
They
check.
both got good hands.
It's limp check.
They're like 40 blinds effective, and it goes
Click, click, click.
check, bet by ace-9 suited, check raise by Sepiol, 3-bet by Navidad,
Natividad.
4-bet click where he got the sizing wrong. So it went 3-bet to 3.9. Sepiol tries making it 4.4,
Yeah,
4.5. They're like, no, you got to put a
5.
million on top of
Yeah.
that. So then he makes it 5.5. And Navidad's like, well, I was supposed to be all in pre, so I may as well be all in now. And he just yeets it home.
And he snaps.
Does turn some life with the jack of spades, but you hate to see a spade.
Sepiol will close this out.
And then
Sepiol. You have me covered?
you got me covered. You got you covered.
By 4
Why is
million.
this limp check?
Because that's how it is.
That's how it bees.
That's how it be.
Nobody puts money in 40 blinds with these hands.
It beats like that.
This is standard. Just to play limp pot with both these hands,
it
40,
is what it
40
is.
effective. I'm asking. I truly don't know.
He's like not giving you an
You're
actual
supposed
answer.
to know.
He's just like, it's how it be.
I mean,
That's
like,
it
I
bees
would,
like that sometimes.
I mean, ace-9's going to mix a raise and limp because limp is going to be fine to snap off like a 40 blind
Queen
jam.
10 suited, just like
Queen 10 probably can
too
like
good?
raise call.
Okay.
So last night, Sam was like, I think Sepiol just won the shootout. I texted him that I was chip leading the 25K, and he just sent back meow.
He loves the meows.
I was like, why did he meow?
He
He's
meows
like, I don't
all
know.
the
I think
time.
he won.
He loves the meow.
Quite the year for Sepiol. He won the Win 10K this past December for like $5 million or something ridiculous like that. ran the bluff heard round the world with the King 10 suited versus Chewy. Poor Chewy. Oh shit! Dropped my mouse.
Oh, boy.
And I don't know what's
Look
next.
at his
in the
hand
show.
right now. Look at his hand right now. He's just like pretending to be on the mouse. Get the mouse. He got it. He did it.
He got it.
Well, we're back.
All right.
Okay.
A cat ran across your screen. Meow.
That's right. So he is the final chef in the kitchen who's cooking. Big shout out to Danny. Hopefully we'll get him on the show at some point. Also spoke to Lonis. Ran into him in the hallways. We're going to get him in here at some point this summer. You know, try to get all the inside secrets. Maybe he can convert me to being a street poker player like himself
I
in the
think
MTTs.
that you would fit in that camp, the gorilla emoji.
I used to be.
I know what happened. You got soft on us.
They all told me no. This is bad.
no,
I
it's
believe them.
Right. I think yeah, you have a way better chance of Lonis like getting you back in the MTT streets than this guy over
for sure.
Go Lonis.
You're hanging around with the wrong crew,
He's
man.
like telling you all these
Get
things.
away from the nerds. Get in with
They
Lonis.
balance me out. They balance me out.
Yeah, you can't randomize.
They're making you
You have
soft.
kids to feed. You have dogs to feed. You can't randomize.
I will say, listening to him like talk about, like, oh, 20 big blinds and under, it's so fucking complicated. You'll never be able to learn this. Blah blah. It's
Lonis ain't gonna tell you that.
It's such like
He's gonna
propaganda.
be like, yeah, just fucking rip it.
It's
Right. You got to pair. You're all in, cuz.
It's like such propaganda where it's like, no, trust me, I'm putting in all of this hard work and it's barely paying off. It's like,
really
yeah, or you
motivating,
could just
right?
be all in. You could just fucking be all in because fuck these guys.
You should fucking see the chat of just like me and Sam and like Seward, and it's like Nick will play a spot where like the difference between a Geo size and like a 40 size is like the difference between 67% and 40, and you go 67 and Sam's like, I think it's 40. And it's like real brain trust we got going on here. 20 big blinds effective. And it's like, if this is where you're making your win rate in a 1500, what are we doing?
That's what I'm saying.
Like there was one time in like a limp check spot, someone had a set of jacks and checked back with like a board.
I hate you.
And it
I
was, like,
hate you all.
The difference between like 40% pot and 50% pot. It's like, what are we talking about here? This is a 3 big blind pot.
Thank you.
Please make it go away.
Thank you. Now we're finally coming around
You
here.
either bet or check.
Okay. Look, I'm very confident I can get good enough at 20 big blind poker to win a WPT
It's like,
3500.
Please
You
fucking
can.
stop. Like, no, you can. You know, you can. The point is like the decision of bet or check. The amount.
Error versus inaccuracy.
That's what I was just saying 3 seconds ago, and you're like, no, you don't understand.
Well, I mean, there's a difference when you're trying
you
to play.
don't get it, bro.
There's a
20 blinds is different than 15.
There's a difference between like call it great poker and like good poker.
Is there though?
Yeah, there is.
I'm not so sure there is.
I think there is.
Right, you win
I'm not convinced.
0.01% more of the time.
No, you win a little bit more than that.
I'm not so convinced that's true.
I know.
Go back to your roots.
I'm with you.
Some
Like,
people are meant to do this, like,
I
you
love
know,
this passive
"Eh, I'm a
aggressive
Poindexter," and then like some people are just like the gorilla emoji.
Yeah,
and I think
let's
that
beat
you're
the
the
shit.
gorilla emoji.
You're goddamn right.
You gotta stick to your roots.
I'm gonna throw bananas at people physically.
Yes.
Like actual bananas.
Bring
I'm gonna mush them in
bananas,
their
throw
face.
them
Like
at people.
Matt will jam like a queen jack suited, and I'm like, actually, it's king jack suited.
Yeah.
And you're like, get the fuck out of here.
And which some people are, you know, naturally attuned to that.
Right.
But that's not your
That's
natural
not me. No.
state. You know, you're a
I
gorilla.
will say though, like I like fighting against that because I think there's learning that takes place.
Yeah.
When I'm just like, no, you shove all Broadway, and he's like, actually, it's only the red suit variety.
Yeah. It's like you need the king of diamonds here.
It's like
crazy
not
how,
the jack of diamonds.
It's crazy how like in some cases that's actually true.
And it's like if we just yell at each other enough, eventually we'll land on something that's a reasonable compromise.
Right.
A middle
But
ground.
I'm saying I think the middle ground is no good. I think you gotta go
You have to pick
all the way
one.
Poindexter, all the way gorilla.
I will say that the
You have
amount
to
of
be-
confidence that one can have in their ignorance. I was saying this to you yesterday. What happened to all the people that have imposter syndrome.
You just don't hear from them.
Everybody
They're crying in the mirror, like me.
The winner's circle is just full of people living the Dunning-Kruger effect, where they're just like, of course I won again. How could I not win? I know
what it takes.
everything and nothing all at the same time.
Yeah.
And then Landon's sitting there going, no, scam, error, blunder.
I mean, these are all
Error FC.
these are all valid complaints, you know. Because the middle knows that when they win, they were actually just like the lucky part of the middle.
That's the problem,
Yeah,
is that
that's
I'm
no
too
fun.
fucking aware now.
That's
Like,
no fun.
winning to me wouldn't even be a relief or fun or.
Just be like,
or
oh,
a
I got lucky.
It'd be like, oh, great, I was
great.
on the left side of the bell curve distribution this time.
I mean, that's how it felt when I got
This
second,
time.
you know, because like in most cases I don't get second.
Don't you want to just kill yourself? I mean, like,
No, because I like
you got second in a major, and your response is like, well, I guess I was on the left side of the curve today.
No, because like for me, it's more obviously like I'm not here only playing poker for free, but it's nice to have the spots and feel some sort of confidence that I've learned something. You know, it's like, oh, like I made a good 3-bet and they folded, and somehow I went like 11 for 11 for like not getting responded back to, and like that felt good because I'm like, oh,
That's
I got
just
lucky.
variance.
I got lucky. Plus, I picked good combos. You know, because maybe I passed on one where it's not
both,
a 3-bet.
both,
Like,
yeah.
I was saying this to Landon on the way over here. I said, I'm going to do one of two things. I'm either going to actually study 20 big blind poker and try to like get reasonably good at these shallow depths, or I'm going to spend all of my time trying to model like the quote unquote perfect MTT player and just have it run like a million iterations through what would be like the average $3,500 field, only to realize that this bot that I've created has like a 4% win rate. And then I'll just be like, oh, okay, good. I can just never play tournaments again because this is stupid.
but what if it's higher? Like, what if it just like breaks you and it's like 25% or something?
25% is fucking nothing. It would need to show me that, like, if it's playing
300%.
Yeah, if it's playing perfect poker and it has a 25% win rate, what the fuck are we doing? It needs to be like 500%.
That's why
Yeah.
tournament players are so superstitious.
Right, of course, because they're just
They're
playing
always so superstitious
a dumb
because
coin flip
you're
game.
just flipping for a lot of money. a lot
Right,
of
like,
the time.
and like that's the thing is I don't think people would.
Flipping for a lot of money every time.
I don't think people would understand. Like, if we built like the perfect response to the average field or whatever, like this machine's capable of learning. You know, it's effectively the AlphaGo of poker, and it goes through and it plays like a million iterations of a 500-man field, and it comes back and it has a win rate of like 33%. I don't think people understand that that's the ceiling, right? Like, I think people would then delude themselves into thinking like, I can outperform that. Because like I would just do things that thing doesn't.
But
and like,
then you have a market. You could you could short them.
that's true. Actually, that is true. You would see Bank of Timex come back real fucking fast. Like we're in the buy sell fucking market now.
I mean, this is kind of what happened with the main event bet, but then Kurai won it.
Right. Yeah.
Chris is like, I love my side, while someone on the other side is like, yeah, I picked the main event winner, so I'll just do that again.
So fuck off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
I
mullet
agree.
run bad
Oh,
was
you get
crazy.
50 people and only one of them has the final table and you win?
Yeah, easy.
Easy.
Yeah, everybody go ahead and do it. Everybody go ahead and do it.
Pick
should
the
do that.
Germans.
All right, let's wrap on the actual topic that we were supposed to address early. We all spoke about this last Monday, and I don't want to beat a dead horse. I think it's clear that we kind of all have different stances on how much of an edge is being derived by being able to study in game and being able to look at things.
Solvergate.
What I want to talk about more is what do we think the community response to this should be, and is there other like precedents that we can kind of look to for guidance? So Bencb put a lot of words out.
I read all that.
This
Happy
was like
for you.
4 or 5 days ago.
We're sorry that happened.
The gist of this was, well, I do want to get the tone correct because I want my response to be clear that like I'm speaking to his language and not necessarily to the message. He said, I don't understand why there's even a debate whether players should be allowed to check solvers between hands or during breaks. If you think this does not give you a huge advantage, you probably can't even beat Zynga poker.
He sounds aggressive.
Very aggressive.
Very
Well,
German.
you know that I had a very good win rate in Zynga poker sit and goes. So
Yeah, goddamn right.
So suck
I'll
on
have
that
you know.
gas.
You can solve many potential future situations such as small blind versus big blind, button versus cutoff by looking up the respective stacks, upcoming money bubble situations, etc. That this is even a debate is unbelievably stupid. I know you can't make it suitable for everybody, but when you enter the arena, it's game time. You can study and prepare at home. Forbid all the charts and solvers from entering the casino, period. Even educational videos. Cheaters will always find loopholes. Make it as hard as possible. Make this rule clear and visible every entry into the casino and put it on tournament receipts. This will not be a perfect solution, but it will be the best solution. It will be a start. A few will be caught without bad intentions, but not knowing does not protect you from the law. Gee, this is the most German fucking post of all time. But this will do more good for the majority. I'm tired of hearing excuses that it would be too hard to execute, too hard to catch cheaters, or too hard to enforce.
He doesn't even play live.
I know. Yes, it's not perfect, and yes, some geniuses will still be able to pull it off. However, as a result, more potential cheaters won't even dare try. I loathe the notion of regulation in order to discourage things.
This is screaming that I don't like your tone, sir.
If you want fair games, we need to do what's best for everybody and allow no wiggle room for cheaters to explain themselves. It's already hard enough to catch cheaters and punish them, but when half-assing it, it's not going to help.
That is quite German.
I want to read it in his voice. It would be so much better.
Don't you argue that GTO doesn't make you a crusher? My best advice, cash out and run. If you compare a perfect VOT with a human memorizing certain GTO strategies, you should spend less time on TikTok and more time recovering some of your brain cells. I don't even know where to begin with this.
Good marketing,
What's
though.
with the TikTok part?
Yeah.
He's just, he's flame baiting.
Okay, so my response to this is just clear rage bait, right? Like, this is just getting people up in arms that are...
Sounds like he's enraged.
Well, he is, but it's rallying the people that echo his sentiment of that this is the most egregious thing that could ever happen live. Right? This is the highest form of cheating.
Like collusion or marking cards isn't worse.
So that's what I want to get across. Like, we all kind of had different takes on how much of an edge can be gained by studying in between hands. But I think what we can all at least come to an agreement on is that it's nowhere near as high as active cheating. Like active RTA, active collusion, marking cards, colluding with somebody else, knowing someone else's card. All
Active
these things,
fingernail digging.
we have to agree. Like, we can at least agree that all of those things will yield a much higher win rate, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so at least we can
Let's start there.
Let's just start there. If then we understand that this certainly is not the highest form of cheating, why is this messaging not being applied to those active arenas?
Yeah.
Right? Like, Ben comes from an online environment where all of the highest forms of cheating are actually in play.
RTA, collusion.
At any given time,
And
at any given stage.
You can't mark
cards
you can't
online.
mark cards.
Right.
You can have deck reads, and that's scary.
So collusion, RTA, stables collaborating with one another, card sharing,
Ghosting,
all the
all that.
ghosting, all of this stuff is taking place in mass, right?
Multi-accounting.
Right. I haven't heard him fucking speak out about that stuff once. If anything, I hear a lot of the sentiment of let's not put too much FUD out there and scare away the recreationals from playing online. It's not as bad as you're making it out to be. Reality is, like, this is not as bad as it's being made out to be. There are a handful of people who are like looking at shit in between hands, and it's like, yeah, you should name and shame them, right? Like, it should be embarrassing to get caught studying a spot in between hands.
Yeah.
And maybe we...
It definitely shouldn't be the norm.
Correct. I agree. Like, I partially agree. I'm very much of the mind that we shouldn't be policing what people do in their downtime. But again, that's my take. It doesn't have to be the end all be all. I'm not trying to imply that I'm correct.
But we don't let them watch porn at the table.
Yeah,
socially,
we figured that out.
well, like, socially we would shun it, but we're not policing it either.
Some guy got outed for touching himself. Yeah.
That's a little bit across the line.
I think,
Well, but that he's doing it in his free
illegal.
time.
I believe that is illegal.
What do we say? What you do?
What if he's gaining some win rate, though, bro?
Well, there are active laws against indecent exposure and, jerking off at the table.
Food acts.
What if he didn't know?
That ignorance, as Ben said, is not an excuse for breaking the law.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, if you want to dabble in a little kink porn in between hands, like, I'm not happy about it, but I'm not also going to look over your shoulder.
But you're not looking
like,
at ace 9 off, button versus cutoff at 30.
That's what they make the screen protectors for.
Yeah. I mean, like, point is, I think that, like, So long as phones and devices like this are
I'm
allowed
having
at the table.
flashbacks of the cruise, but go ahead.
Wait, what?
happened? Oh, whenever he opened his phone for the mommy working the desk.
Yeah,
Right.
it's like porn.
You mean anonymous source?
Right.
Some
Sims.
random
yeah.
person did that.
Yeah. anonymous source.
Manuel. Gonzalez.
So anyway, like, if we're going to get to a point of discouraging this, what do we think the proper or the appropriate ruling / punishment should be in place for this type of behavior?
Caning on Las Vegas Boulevard.
Tar and feather.
Honestly, there's a lot of poker players.
Now you want to go after the cheaters.
There's a lot of poker players who prefer caning over a lifetime ban. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
Getting whipped with like sugar cane.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a thing in Singapore.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
He wasn't alive when. I don't remember
the kid
who
that spray painted, right?
Yeah, it was like a kid. He was like a teenager, and
It's an American kid.
American kid, and then they caned him, and it was this big story. Anyways, you
I
weren't
thought
alive.
that's what
it
it
happened in the
was.
early '90s. You weren't.
I
Alive.
thought that's what it was, but I wasn't sure. Anyways,
Neither here nor there. What do you think?
I think the stance of just like outside of the table tournament environment, do whatever you want kind of thing, like it's just non-policeable. But then like in the tournament area, like if you're seen like
at the table,
looking at like at the table during a tournament, like just it's bad optics, you know. It looks really bad when you're looking at like solves and stuff at the table, and it's like, well, okay, well you're already good at poker, you don't have to be doing this.
That's something I can wholeheartedly agree with.
Yeah.
It's
I think you'd have to
terrible
miss a couple
optics.
orbits. I think first you miss a couple orbits. If you do it again, you're just out of the tournament.
Like people know at this point, it's frowned upon.
How do you?
Right?
How do
you need a warning to say like, hey, don't look at your screen anymore? Because people know you probably shouldn't look at your screen.
How do you
Especially if there's
police it,
rules in
though?
place.
Well, okay. Well, what you're saying here is like kind of,
Contradictory.
no, like convoluting two different concepts. So, are we talking about in general, or are we talking about in a hand?
I just mean in general.
You're
Like
not allowed to look at your screen in general.
not screen, not look at Sims. Like you just like have something up on your phone and like you're looking through the wizard.
Okay, but like,
You can obviously have your phone and like text someone or whatever.
right. So, like, me personally, I think that like the hard fast rule should be no screens in an active hand.
Yes.
And I think the punishment should be the hand is dead at any point.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Like you
don't-
mean like you just pick up your phone
correct.
at any point?
At any point during an active hand, your hand is dead.
no matter what.
No matter what. And like, look, this is coming from somebody who is actively on his phone when cards are being dealt way too often, and somebody who's most likely to break this rule and be annoyed by breaking it.
I feel like that's pretty tough. I mean, because it's just like, you know, you may be in the middle of a hand and you get a phone call, and then you just like pick it up, or you just
don't. Just click a button. Like, just don't.
Also,
I know,
you don't
but
have
like
to
it's a
look at your-
natural.
you
Sometimes
don't
it's
have
a
to look at
natural.
your screen to turn it.
I know, but sometimes it's like your phone buzzes or does something. It's
Point
just a
is-
natural reaction just to
Hand's
grab
dead.
Okay,
it.
so your hand's dead.
Hand's dead.
Hand's dead.
So your hand's dead. Who gives a shit? It's
Yeah.
a hand. You know, it's like, there's gonna be EV attached to that, but like,
So you're like have
Ben is
90%.
Ben is literally talking about from 86ing people from the casino for life.
That's never
yeah.
gonna happen.
Like, he didn't take this hard of a stance on Ali and fucking Jake. What are we doing here? This is madness to me. Like,
It's just not realistic. The casinos would never like do that. They just are gonna
Imagine
get
like
rid of a bunch
walking
of
in the valleys.
customers.
You're like, gonna register the tournament. Let's look at 20 big blind poker. Oh, you didn't play the tournament? Gone.
right.
Not only
Right.
that, the amount of man hours it would take to actually police this sort of thing would be very expensive.
It's
more the
I mean, he says he
deterrent
doesn't care how inconvenient it is. It's not that it's inconvenient. It's impossible, right? Like, you just cannot police people's, like, you're asking for police state within the arena of MTTs when online, which is actually a police state, they literally have access to your fucking desktop, cannot prevent these things. Right? So this is not being policed in the most policeable environment.
You almost just have to have like punishments in place as a deterrent. Like it's just like okay, maybe if you're seeing on your phone or whatever, even in between the hands, then it's just like somebody says something to the dealer or the floor.
You can weaponize
and then,
that.
And then you can you get like a warning.
No,
right?
you can weaponize that.
How?
You're a good player to my left.
Yes.
I say that I saw you looking at Sims in between hands.
Okay, so then you get a warning. right? You get a warning.
Okay,
What if
then I
he's
say it
lying?
again.
No.
And I'm just
Yeah,
lying.
you could lie.
It doesn't matter. Like you get a warning, and then the floor says we're going to be watching. Like we're
They
going
don't
to
have
be
enough
like
floors
watching,
to
right?
be watching
And, like,
every person over their
Of course, they're
shoulder,
not going to be. But if they tell them, "Hey, we're going to watch you," then maybe it's going to deter people from actually doing.
But
it.
then
Okay,
what if
but
he's
now I
lying again?
continue to lie to get you kicked out of the event.
You can't get somebody kicked out of the event. I'm saying the floor actually have to see you do it for the punishment to take
What if
place.
there's 10 people in the tournament doing the same thing and there's only one floor man?
Exactly, but I said this is why I said it. Oh my God, this is why I said it's
Easy.
a deterrent. That's
Easy.
why.
But is it deterring anything?
Yes, it is. Right? If the floor comes over and says, "If you do it again, we're giving you a penalty, or we're gonna remove you from the tournament, disqualify you," you think someone's gonna be like, "He's not looking, I can get away with it."
Yes!
No, they're not gonna do that.
They have eyes. They'll see what the floor is.
Have you been in high school before?
Hey, if we catch you cheating.
This kid acts like he never fucking cheated on a test in high school.
I got caught once. I almost cried.
I'm a very honest person.
I got
I'm
caught
just saying.
once.
I never got
I
caught.
think that like
didn't
if you
get caught
put these
either.
certain rules in place and they're harsh rules, that it's enough of a deterrent to at least like stop people from doing it.
I think
Maybe not every single person.
I think it just becomes a very slippery slope.
I don't even think I got the answers right
I-
either.
I
I was
don't-
bad
I
at
think
cheating.
I think when you create harsh punishments,
Cheated off the wrong people.
I think when you create harsh punishments for crimes that are almost impossible to police, you run the risk of those punishments being weaponized more than actually being the deterrent you hope that they
Yeah,
are.
I think you can structure it in a way where that won't
I will say that I think like what the win does is a reasonable rule, but it's because they are basically what you're suggesting without the harsh undertones. So it's like if we see you in the tournament area looking at GTO Wizard, you'll be DQ'd.
Valid.
And that's fine.
Wait, isn't that what Bencb said?
Isn't that what I said?
No, he wants them banned for life.
Ben says if you walk into the from the from the win to the encore and they see you on GTO
wants
Wizard,
them
get out,
killed.
get out, get out of our premises
He
forever.
wants them put in Guantanamo Bay. Like,
So what are you in here for? I was looking at 20 big blind sims.
and like, look, like the reason why I think the win ruling is reasonable is because you can just step out of the tournament area and do the same
Yeah.
thing. So now it becomes negligence to actually get caught, right? Like they're drawing a harsh line between the area that's permissible and not permissible.
Yeah, and I think the World
I think
Series should
that's
do
a good rule.
that-
I
never
agree.
said they shouldn't
The
do
World
that.
Series has a similar rule. It's unclear what their punishment is, right? So
Oh.
it's
They got to
They're
figure
just
that
like,
out.
please don't.
right. It's just like very gray, and their language is also very gray.
Like we strongly request you don't do that.
Well, their language is also very gray too, and like this is what Ben just doesn't seem to want to acknowledge. Like this just isn't a good faith argument because it's ban hammering a bunch of like nonsense that is difficult to qualify, right? And just say like, okay, this counts and this doesn't. Like, what's the difference if you are looking at a push fold chart or you're in a Discord asking what the bottom of your range is?
Right. Different.
Is it?
It's the optics.
Right. It's just the optics.
Yeah, which I think is
It's simply the optics.
I think
is
it's
valid.
fine. I think it's valid, you know? Because like
It's-
that's like saying, oh, like call it recreational players or other people in the event don't text their friends. Oh man, I had a tough spot.
Okay, I agree. This has been going on though for 25 years. So if we're only trying to police the optics, which I agree with you guys, that's mostly what we're trying to eliminate here, then the punishment cannot be that harsh. It just simply cannot be a lifetime ban
Right,
from the property.
Yeah, and that's not what I was advocating.
Right,
for either. I was
but-
advocating for like a
Yeah.
round penalty.
Yeah, and fine. But again, like to even issue a round penalty or a DQ, you have to like catch them red-handed. Right, which is just really fucking improbable.
People take pictures. We see them on Twitter a lot.
It's not, it's not like it's not that hard for like to you not to know that the floor is walking up behind you and now you're on your phone looking at GTO Wizard and boom. It's like you have to be like,
I get it.
You know,
But basically,
Even just
basically,
knowing that it's
okay.
not allowed is like gonna make people less likely to do
that's
it.
exactly what I said.
Right,
Yeah.
but it'll also just
I agree with you.
it'll also just have them pursue comparable avenues that are fine, right?
Okay, well,
Like a
just
Discord
because
chat.
like they're gonna be
or-
able to do it other ways doesn't mean you shouldn't get rid of the one way. It's like, oh well, they could do it other ways, so just don't police anything.
Right, exactly.
Like that just seems
it's just like,
defeatist.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of I know Chewy took a similar stance.
like
with
why
it.
ban guns when they can just stab you with a knife?
Right.
Well,
Well,
that's a
that's
a bit of a-
little different.
That's very different. Not even gonna go down that path. But like Chewy took a very similar stance with like MDA, mass data analysis, where it's just like the sites didn't do a good job of not allowing third parties to data scrape. So once it becomes available to some fraction of the community, why not just make it available to all? And that actually is probably the best free market response to something like this. Just as
not every like rec player who's playing 2 events is going to download pay $100 a month for GTO Wizard.
Agreed, and that's a reasonable that's a very reasonable counter, I guess, when it comes to like wanting to keep an environment specifically healthy. But it's also just like when you start to attach punishments to whatever you're considering to be a crime, it becomes very convoluted if it's a loosely defined crime, I guess is my point, right? So we in our past conversations can easily identify, like, if somebody's looking at GTO Wizard, that's a foul, right?
Yeah.
But if they are on Discord in a group chat looking at a push-fold chart, does that qualify the same?
Well, if you see the chart on the phone, then yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, would you be disqualified for having geo-sizings saved on your phone?
This.
Right. Like, is that a disqualification?
Probably, yeah.
But why?
I don't know. It's the same thing.
Is it?
Yeah, of course it is.
All it is math. It's not like...
That's all a chart is math too.
No, but it's different. Like, you're specifically deriving an edge from... Or at least the argument is that you're deriving
It's funny,
an
I was
edge.
going to ask you guys about this the other day. I was
geosize.
playing in a tournament, and I actually used my calculator to figure out how many big blinds I had.
Right. Is
that bad?
I mean, that's
No.
the same as a geosizing chart. That's literally the same as a geosizing chart.
Yeah, man, I guess.
So where are you drawing the line?
Yeah, no, it's the lines are blurred. It's hard. It's hard
Well, hold
to
on,
know
I'd like an
exactly
answer.
when.
Should I be doing this or not?
It's totally fine.
you're
That I
right.
think
If
is yeah. So it's funny because it's like I would be like, oh, you use a calculator to figure out what big blinds you had. I don't think that's a problem.
I'm very much of
but
the
like,
mind that
right,
like I'm loose on these things.
Right.
Like, if you're figuring out if you're converting your stack to big blinds,
Yeah.
you're gaining an edge because you'd otherwise make mistakes.
Right.
But it's also ridiculous to hinder you from doing that
Yeah.
type of thing.
So it's just like it's a spectrum where like using the calculator is at one end and looking at a push-fold chart is at the other end, and then maybe the geosizes is somewhere in the middle of the spectrum.
I don't think the geosize is very far away from
the calculator.
From the calculator, and especially like if you're doing it in between hands. Like, remember, the thing that I'm advocating for is just zero phone use during a hand.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
You're right. Yeah.
So
that's
it's
true.
just like I just don't.
Yeah.
Personally, like this is me. I just don't care what you do in between hands.
Yeah.
I truly don't. And if we want to make it that you have to step away from the table to do whatever it is you want to do in between hands, I can get on board with that.
Yeah.
I just can't in any capacity get on board with the notion that everybody is restricted to whatever they bring to the quote unquote test. Right? Like, that's just not how the real world works.
You would agree that you'd want to deter people from looking at push-fold charts in between hands. But
I don't care.
You don't care.
I truly don't
You don't think
care.
the optics are bad.
I think the optics are
So if
bad.
you
And that's
think
the only reason why.
Right.
That's why I'm saying it's if you want to step away, step away.
So what I'm saying is that like if you think the optics are bad, that means you would like to deter people from doing it.
I don't think they're bad enough to care, but like
I
I'm
mean,
on
the
board
issue
with the
is that
collective.
if there's no punishment at all, everyone's going to be doing it. And then tournaments are going to just turn into people like memorizing the chart before the spot and then doing it. And it's like, and then like you have like a random rec come in and then everyone's looking at charts in between hands. And then they're like, what am I even doing here?
Well, if all of that were true, high rollers wouldn't exist or flourish. Like if that were the simple crux of MTTs, then we just wouldn't see high rollers exist where people do know these charts by heart and amateurs don't. And I guess like, yeah, that's my...
I mean, it's less likely to happen at high rollers and more likely to happen at lower stakes.
Well, I'm saying it doesn't have to happen at high rollers because they already know.
Yeah.
Like they've just
why.
memory banked. So I guess that's my point is that if the fear is that eventually the entire field is going to have full oversight and knowledge of these.
It's not the knowledge. It's just the like, if I'm like a recreational coming into a table and everyone's looking at charts in between hands, or most of the table is, like I'm not gonna want to play that anymore. Like
I get what Berkey's saying though too about like policing making the punishment too harsh because like you could literally
you don't have to kill them.
No, but I'm saying that like but like you could be like not even doing anything wrong and get punished. Like there's a lot of times where you guys are just posting charts in the chat. Right now, I just go to like our podcast chat and I open it up and boom, a chart pops up. It has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. And someone's like, "Oh, he's looking at the chart. Get him out." Right? Like you can't,
be like,
you can't do that. It's just like,
right now,
why mute the chat?
No, it's valid, right?
Right. No, right. Exactly.
I think Melissa's pulling at a good string, though. Like, I think this conversation is the direction I would like to see the overarching convo take, rather than just a harsh like perma ban or phone ban or whatever. Like, I think her concerns represent the collective, and why we're also all in agreement that it's bad optics.
Yeah,
is that the fear, whether it's true or not, is that if the majority of the field has this information at their fingertips, the majority of the field gets better. Right. And now the minority that isn't utilizing this information suffers.
It's kind of like the same way where like you have like 3 or 4, regulars at the table. Like you don't want to be sitting there talking about like all the strategy right at the table, right? Because then like you have like 2 other like recs that are like, what the hell are they talking about?
Like,
what am I doing?
I'm in way over my head.
What am I doing here? Right.
Once again, like that's
situation.
more of an optic issue than like an actual skill gain.
Right.
You know?
It's just, of course.
I've always pushed hard against that too.
Yeah.
I just think it's...
No one's saying to do it. It's
no.
just
I'm saying I don't think it's that big of a deal.
It's
like,
not.
I think at the extremes it's bad, but I also think that it's very insulting to like recreationals to assume that they just don't want to talk. They're the ones generally talking hand histories the most.
I want to know, yeah.
I do think it's different when like, call it recreational, like jams a hand or like calls off a hand and they're like, oh, like, do you think this is a call here? And like giving like an answer in that regard is different than being like, oh, like, talking to the other guy that knows strategy, like, what do you think the range here is? Jack 10 suited, ace 4 suited. It's like, what are we doing here? You know?
Kind of. I don't think I don't even think that what you gave is that bad. I think what's bad is whenever they like you're picking on somebody who made the error. Oh, like if a recreational jams like
nice call, buddy.
Jack 10 off. No. Like a recreational jams Jack 10 off. And then you look to your buddy who clearly is in the know and you're like, what a joke. Like that's clearly a king queen plus spot.
Yeah.
Right. Like now you're weaponizing
this is
your
bullying.
knowledge, right? Which I think is bad. And I think that's what truly is optically bad. But like there are a lot of old school guys like, and this is no shade to them because I love these guys, but like Billy and Len and the guys that are of the mind that like we should just be talking about titties and puppies at the table instead of like anything poker related.
Easy on that.
I mean, look, when I'm in our game and some of the old school guys like Freddie and them are in the game and like anybody mentions a hand history, which again, by the way, most of the time it's a recreational because every pot is a big deal to them and they're hyper curious. They want to know, like, part of why they're willing to play with pros is because they want some feedback.
Yeah.
The second that a hand comes up, they're like, can't we just talk about strip clubs and tits and you know what I mean? It's just like, because that's the
your
old
environment
mindset.
is also different than I think the like community environment. You know
Perhaps.
what I mean? Bit, like
I would hope it's representative of like small stakes because it's a healthy mix of like pros and recs. Mm-hmm. Where if that's not the case at small stakes, where it's like mostly pros, you're probably in a bad game.
Yeah, but I mean, like I don't think there's a lot of times where like people are like come and do a 2-5 game to learn from the pros.
No, yes, yeah. That's fair. That's very fair. But I do think the inquisitive nature is just commonplace whenever you are passionate about a thing that you're not an expert in.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure.
So there, yes. End of the day, like there's a fine line, obviously, and people who are good at navigating this know what not to cross, or like what they can say and what they can't say, I guess, type of thing. But just to kind of to wrap on this point, I do think that like the bigger underlying thing to address is figuring out just to what degree all of this even matters. And then marrying that with however you plan on punishing it. Yeah. Right. Because like to me, this whole entire conversation, now we're a full year into, because we had this talk last year too. Mm-hmm. This entire conversation, the thing that I take the most issue with is how overblown it is. Like there are real issues of actual high level hardcore cheating, both live and online. Like, look, I've found more collusion rings, more mechanics and marked cards over the last 12 months in the high stake arena live than I ever have in the past 10 years. Like, it's becoming more and more and more rampant, especially as games go more private and you need recreationals in order to even get seats. Pros don't vet those recs. You know, they just go find people that they think are losing, and oftentimes what ends up happening is they have an angle, and they're just leveraging the pro in order to get into the game, who then becomes the fall guy, right? So there's a lot of actual high-level, real-world cheating that is, you know, Landon got cheated in a game in Texas where they had the deck make rigged. Like, this is worth hundreds, if not 7 figures worth of return.
Yeah.
Looking at a fucking chart before you play the next hand is going to be worth pennies, no matter what the situation is. And we can agree that those pennies might be worth something so meaningful that it should be punished, but we can definitely not agree that it deserves a harsher punishment than hardcore cheating that's currently not being policed, both live and online. There are widespread cheaters in both environments, and nobody's shunning them. Nobody is 86ing them from their properties. Jake and Ali are still fucking in action this summer. Like, what are we talking about here that you want to go after some Midwestern guy who pulled up GTO Wizard for the 3rd time in his entire life, is using the sim all fucking wrong. He's looking at cash ranges.
That's not usually the guy that's doing it.
No, fair. I mean, the guy that Pads highlighted definitely was like probably more rec than pro.
He's from his hometown. He's you know, like,
Right.
he's a good guy.
The point I was trying
Maybe
to make
we let
is
the
like,
recs do it, not the pros. Like, if you have a certain amount of like winnings,
If you have your pro card, you're not allowed to
like
do
if you have this amount of winnings on Hand and Mob, you can't look at it. But if you're underneath it, then you're good.
if there's a high probability that you're using the sim correctly, you're fucking banned, buddy. But like,
Wait a minute, but then Bencb gets all the charts because he only plays online.
Right. Well, that's the other thing. So like, even going back to the geosizing,
I only have $5 on my hand and not.
If Barry
When he played that
Greenstein
250K.
deems you as a pro,
right?
you're not
If he
allowed
has
to.
you as more of a 7 out of 10, then like you're out.
If Greenstein ranks you correctly.
But like playing online, for instance, you know, you convert the chip stack to big blinds. That's fixed in the software, right? But you can also very easily have a screen grab up of geosizing. Nobody's going to police that. Nobody's going to say that that's cheating in any capacity.
Of course, yeah.
There was a point when Razor Edge was offering a dynamic fucking preflop ranges, and people were just using them freely. Like, that's RTA.
They're still probably on the site.
That was
That's
like
what I mean.
when I started playing. I remember that.
Yeah, so it's like it's insane to me to over police one environment where it's so slow, and the ability to actually translate it over, because you actually have to separate the in-between hands to the hand, versus like an online environment where it's rapid and you have hundreds of hands coming at once and you literally just have dynamic charts feeding you information. Like, come on, what are we talking about here? If in this environment, like, this is just a part of it and you have to accept it, how on earth are we going to go to the degree of like, you should never be able to step foot on property again because you opened a website of some sort? Like, the extremes are really what's bothering me here. It's
But
such
that
a
extreme's
massive
never
over.
going to happen because the casino would never like
I
ban
agree.
that many people.
I agree.
So
It's
it's not even worth like entertaining because it's just not real.
We're
It's
mostly-
too much of the conversation is being framed that way. Go ahead.
We're mostly talking about like MTTs, but like,
Right.
can you garner a bigger edge in cash using these charts? Like using like, because like,
Not charts, I don't think. But if you're simming in real time.
yeah, I guess if you're a stimming,
There was a guy at Bellagio.
Not stimming.
You guys might not remember, but one or two Decembers ago, I can't remember if it was this past December or 2 Decembers ago, we covered a guy in Bellagio who was actually simming real time on GTO Wizard cash hands at 510.
Yeah,
And he got the book thrown at him, and rightfully so,
Right.
because like, that's egregious.
Yeah,
But
people look at their phones all the time in cash.
we're never
Like during
like,
hands.
I feel like
the game will die.
yeah.
Like, you guys are worried about optics, and I'm totally on board for that. But you take somebody's phone away from them mid hand,
Yeah.
like, the game's dead.
People are playing app
Oh,
games,
right.
they're watching anime, they're
Yeah.
you know.
I was watching
whatever.
I was watching the mix game the other day. There was a guy who had an iPhone, an iPad, and an Android all set up on stands, 3-tabling while he's playing the fucking mix game. It's just like, it's so goddamn slow. And like, I'm still on board with keep your phone face down mid hand. I'm on board with that.
Yeah.
But also, I'm in a game where like everybody has each other's numbers. It would be very easy for them to be texting each other during hands, et cetera, and I still have no fear that I'm being cheated or colluded against by this collective group.
Well, the punishment isn't worth the cost.
Right.
Because then, like, if it ever gets found out, like, they just get.
And I think that's
removed.
what I'm more on board with.
Trying to find a way.
Policing this within the community, socially policing this, right? Because, like, yeah, you're right. If that was ever discovered in our game, that two people were texting each other their hands or something like that, not only are they out of the private game sphere altogether, but they're going to be named and shamed and ridiculed in the high stakes poker
never
community.
getting another game.
Right. Like, you just lose all. It's like stiffing whenever you have a good reputation. Your reputation is just worth so much in this environment.
It's like kind of to some extent with Becker and I, with the way that we're tracking bullets and doing things like this.
Yeah.
It's like we both have so much to lose if there was ever a discrepancy from all casinos that someone's missing 20 bullets from the stuff that they've reported. It's like, oh, we had this crossbook where we're supposed to be open and transparent, but you've hid this stuff and it's obviously going to get found because even though I trust you, we're still going to get the logs and do the right thing.
And to be fair,
and then he would get fucked.
Right. And to be fair to the rest of the community, like, it is important to be more diligent in MTTs because outside of a ban, you can't stop people from registering, right? And in lower stake games, like, you know, public games, 10-20, 5-10, 2-5, whatever, you're not going to know the pool so intimately. You're not going to be able to just name and shame and get these people kicked out of your environment because they're cheating with one another, right? So it is a lot more important in those atmospheres, I think, to heavily enforce the no phone during a live hand. And I think that, like, that should become what's uniform, right? Like, that to me is like the first point. Whatever we do after that, fine. But, like, what we should actively be doing is encouraging dealers to kill hands if people are on their phone while their hand is active.
It's true, you know, and even as like someone that's not looking at their phone and doing all these things during hands, especially when there's rules in place that say you should not be doing these things anymore. Because like before anyone talked about it, of course, all the guys that are solver nerds or whatever will go into the remote PC and like start running stuff, and it's not out of the norm. But now it's like, hey, if you get caught doing these things, we're just going to ban you. So now there's no way I'm ever going to go on my phone and do that stuff again. Point being, like when I'm playing these tournaments and stuff, there's just no reason to really consider doing the things that will get you punished.
Right.
So I think
that idea.
There, like if you did, there would be almost like a transition period where it would take people a long time to get used to not grabbing their phone. Like a lot of hands are going to get killed. So there was a dealer at one of the days I played in the Gladiator. Probably the best dealer we had. He was quick, fast, but he sits down at the table, and as soon as he sits down, he goes, I just want to let you guys know, I strictly force the no phone during a hand rules, and I will be enforcing it the entire time. And it was literally like nonstop. Like, he said it so many times, like, off your phone, off your phone, off your phone, off your phone. Like, it was just like, if those were all dead hands, he would have just been killing hands left and right.
Like it feels weird to like be that guy, you know? To be like, hey,
the thing is, though, if he was killing hands, he wouldn't have to keep repeating himself.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But I think like it's just a natural instinct for people to just grab their phone. And I said like it's going to take a little bit of time for people to kind of get accustomed to not looking at their phone while they're in a hand.
It will take some time.
They're going to have their hands killed a bunch of times before.
Which I think is just okay.
I think it's valid, you know, and like I'm someone that's sometimes like either not on my phone actively, but have Instagram reels going while I'm playing a hand, and I don't want to like.
But you're playing
put my
a tournament,
phone
or,
down.
you know, you're in a tournament, and now you have a really like you have the nuts, and you have 80% of your chips instead.
Don't look at your phone.
I know. You just but like
that seems like a pretty ridiculous time to look at your phone.
It does. It does.
Yo, hold on, I'm all in. I'm gonna take this call though.
You know, like
that's the thing is most people are looking at their phone out of boredom, so it's almost it's almost certain that it's not going to be a big spot.
Your phone buzzes and you just grab it and just
kill it.
Hand dead.
Kill the fucking hand.
I know. I'm just saying.
Like that's the biggest thing is that this outcome is annoying enough that it'll be impactful, but it's not so detrimental.
The punishment isn't worth the cost to look at your phone when you have 80% of your stack in with the
nuts.
nuts.
I would literally just,
but the punishment
at this
also
point, I would
isn't.
Just put my phone in my pocket,
which is fine. Do whatever you have to do. The point is that the punishment isn't so great that there's no coming back.
You're not out of the tournament. You're not taking walks. You're not
DQ'd. You're not kicked out of property.
You're not going to Guantanamo.
Yeah, you're not X-out from Las Vegas forever.
You are DQ'd if you're all in and you look at your phone.
Well, I think in that instance it wouldn't matter.
Why would someone be?
You're already all in, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I obviously I think
if you're all in, you can look at your phone because you have no more.
If you're all in minus one chip and you're on your phone,
yeah, there you go.
That's how you get rid of the bags.
We can all just
stop doing that.
We can all be pretty logical about this stuff.
Yeah.
And the other thing is like it's a very slippery slope too, where a lot of people may not understand how important the vlogger sphere has been to the growth of the game, where if you start to get like really harsh punishments for filming and other behavior like this at the table, suddenly that corner of the space just totally disappears.
Yeah.
Right. And there was a point where that happened. There was a tiny little frame of time where every single property just took a hard stance versus vlogging. And it was like, absolutely not. I remember MGM was banning people and all kinds of stuff. And then they went the other way. They were like, actually just come and ask us for permission and we'll give you basically like a pass to do it. And that was the direction that they took. And it's all fine. But it's also just like, it comes with very tiny little slight game integrity issues that could potentially be gamed. So we're always going to be operating with a little bit of trust, a little bit of good faith, and a little bit of understanding amongst people. But I do think that like the easiest thing to do is to just police the thing that is policeable, which is phone use during a hand. Right? It's like, just start there. Let's just start small. Let's not gravitate to the extremes.
And if you're found using your phone, you have to wear a dunce cap.
Yeah.
Like one of those.
Melissa's going to make it too. It's going to have a bunch of like
dicks and balls on it.
Be covered in poop.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And second offense, you lose a pinky.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck your
Then
pinky,
they really
grandpa.
won't do it.
All
That's
right.
funny because I said about the dealer, I was like, you better watch out because like I was like, you're on your phone, he takes a digit off, and once you get to 3 digits, he just takes the whole hand.
Well, he does take one whole hand.
Well, he should take one whole hand. All right, that's going to do it for us. I hope you guys enjoyed this discussion. Let us know what your thoughts are on the current rules, the potential rules in place moving forward.
Should you be barred for life looking at GTA Wizard?
Would you like to get barred for life?
killed?
What do you think the problems are?
Caned.
Bencb canes you.
Cane CB.
He's like, he
God.
comes back. He comes out of Germany. He's like,
I can't help it. I love Sid. He's here every day trolling. He goes, "How is this so hard? There are no phones allowed at blackjack tables." It's like, bro, you play blackjack for 15 fucking minutes and you're drunk.
they don't give a shit if you're on the phone or
okay?
not.
Like, you're here in a fucking tournament for 13 hours. You see if you can go without touching your phone. All right, that's gonna do it for us. We'll be back tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. Pacific. We're gonna have more people cooking in the kitchen. Hopefully, we're gonna have Conrad on day 3 of the Gladiator event
with good stress test.
From 800 down to 1. Here we go. We'll see you guys
we
all
hope
then.
he's that one.
Peace.
Peace.